And then Usha, I'm going to make you the co-host. Oops.
All right, Usha.
No.
Yes, Rajni.
All right, you can come back on video. I'm going to just quickly introduce you, and then you can share your screen.
Okay.
So thank you so much again, Usha, for joining us tonight. I know you're used to getting up in the morning for early, pretty early for photography, but it's still very gracious of you to join us at 6:30 your time. And it's definitely tedious presenting so early. So thank you again. And to everyone, I've sent out Usha's very impressive bio, and I'm not going to read everything out again, but I wanted to call out a few highlights because she's got a really impressive bio. Usha gave up a very lucrative career as a chartered accountant to become a professional photographer. And within a very short time, she's accomplished a lot. She's featured on the BBC. She was featured on the BBC as one of the top leading wildlife photographers, and is also recognized as a Canon influencer. Her work has been featured in several shows and prestigious organizations like the Natural History Museum in UK. And she's won several awards and accolades, such as like the East African Wildlife Photographer of the Year. Usha is also part of the new Big Five Wildlife Conservation Initiative, and which is amongst other projects she works on for sustainable ecotourism. She's the co-founder of the Mara Siligi Eco-Friendly Camp. And I hope, Usha, you're going to tell us a little bit more about the community and what you're doing to empower the Maasai community. I'm very privileged to know Usha personally and to call her a friend. I really obviously envy her rather impressive wildlife portfolio, and I call her the wildlife whisperer because she has this uncanny ability to track and know where best to be for having the best safari experience and being able to, have this really wide spectrum of wildlife that we get to experience there. Usha is an expert in both Kenyan as well as Ugandan national parks. In fact, she's known as the gorilla lady in certain circles. She has a fantastic portfolio from Uganda also. And she's equally familiar with the tiger national reserves in India. So this is going to be actually a two-part presentation series. Today, she's going to talk about wildlife photography at a very generic level. And then we are going to have her back to give us an in-depth presentation on gorillas in Uganda in particular. So welcome, Usha, and I'm going to turn it over to you now. And I request everybody else, if you've unmuted yourself or if you're on video, to mute yourself. And then I'm going to monitor the chat window. If you have a question while Usha is presenting, feel free to type in a question if you want her to expand more in the context of what she's presenting. Otherwise, I'll monitor the questions and she can do Q&A at the end. So thank you, Usha. Over to you now.
Thank you, Rajni. Thank you, LVCC club members. This is amazing, and this is a great platform to possibly introduce myself and also about the African wildlife photography, African wildlife experiences, especially in East Africa. Let me just share my screen first. By the way, good evening to all of you. Good morning from Kenya. It's 6:30 a.m. out here. Just a moment. Okay, so I hope everybody is able to see Rajni. Is it clear?
Perfect.
Is it audible?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. Okay.
Clearly.
Okay, okay. So yeah, thank you, Rajni, for the introduction. I was happy to hear a lot of good things about me. Well, yes. So my wildlife photography journey, it is a story on its own. As Rajni mentioned, that I was ambitious to be working in a corporate field. Everything was going well, but we got this offer. Me and my husband, we moved to Kenya way back in 2008. So I came here as an expat wife. It was a new country, new continent, new culture, new people. So I was trying to figure out what should I do. I'm raised in south of India around the Nilgiri mountains. Um, Nature was always part of me, but never realized that at that time. I used to have a small camera and I was just moving around. I think I got this from my mother, who actually used to take a lot of candid images, which I am realizing now that maybe that was how I got it in me. We moved to Kenya, and then the first visit we did was in to Masai Mara in Kenya. So today I'm going to take you through a brief part about myself, how I started, how did all these changes happen, that what got into me, that which made me go through this whole journey of what I am today, and what is my takeout from what is wildlife photography, or what I have learned as a self-taught photographer. So this caption is what I always would consider myself as. The tornado ripped through the town and I could hear it whistling like a train as I tried to find my way out. That's exactly what happened in 2008 when I moved here. And when I went for an African safari, and that was Mara, Masai Mara, I was spellbound with the way the savanna grasslands and the way the animals are all in their own space, uh, trying to see that what paradise is that. I think that was the start for me to get triggered into knowing more about nature, more about wildlife, and that really became seriously got into me. And as a passion, I started learning more and more, and I started taking photographs. That's how the whole journey started. If anyone has any questions, please, you can put it in the chat, and Rajni can always help, asking anytime. Please feel free. So this is my journey with the photography equipment. In 2008, I had a small point and shoot camera, which was Sony Cybershot. Then I realized that I created my own space and time and opportunity for stepping more and more into the wild. Of course, we were new to the place. And then I became a mother. So all the maternity period was, I think, a testing time for me to learn more about photography. So then I moved to a little sort of it's not a straight point and shoot, but a DSLR. And I started playing around with it. But I would say my serious DSLR would be the crop sensor, APS-C sensor 60D, and I had the 7300 mm. So I started exploring, going to different parks in Kenya, which was really fascinating to see the place in every season, and also experimenting as a traveler, stepping out and learning a lot of new things, because every safari is a different experience. African wildlife safari, every time is a different experience. You get to see different kind of behaviors of the animals. So this got into me, and then I kept on learning. I'm a self-taught photographer, so I used to play around with the camera equipment, with all kind of settings. There were different platforms in which I started learning about it. There were a lot of social media platforms, media platforms as well. YouTube's really helped. Going with mentors, on stepping out practically on other photographic safaris really help to watch and see what they are observing. And 2012, I got the 60D, and I then moved on to a full frame camera. So from 2014 onwards, it was a journey by itself to know more about the equipment and also use it at the right place. Because you start investing in the equipment, you also should be ready to use the equipment because it gets heavier and you have to handle them. Most of the situations it gets handled, so you need to be always ready to move around. So yes, but my favorite tool with me is always a mobile phone, which I never fail to carry. Even sometimes I may not have the right lens, but then I always have a mobile phone with me, so which really helps. So I'm going to take you through the images which I have taken in this period of time to show the journey. Yeah. My personal favorite places, though I have traveled Southern Africa, I've gone to Botswana, I've gone to South Africa, and even Tanzania, a lot of national parks. But what is close to my heart is these three countries, which is Kenya, Uganda, and India. So Kenya, obviously I live here, and I've been here, frequented a lot, because that's how I started planning safaris for people and also started taking photography safaris to both Kenya and Uganda. Uganda also, we have lived, so I have really explored the country. And in Kenya, yes, Masai Mara, Amboseli National Park, that's a beautiful place for seeing Mount Kilimanjaro, which is the tallest mountain in Africa, highest mountain in Africa, snow-capped, single freestanding mountain. Amboseli National Park with lots and lots of elephants. So the first image was from Amboseli National Park of the elephant herd, which was the introduction image. Or in northern Kenya, there's another beautiful park called Samburu National Reserve, which it's a very semi-arid kind of place. So you get to see animals which you cannot see in a savanna grassland. Then you have Tsavo East National Park, which is the largest park in Kenya, and they have plenty of animals, lots of elephants. The ecosystem is very, very healthy. So that's another beautiful park. Of course, Masai Mara National Park, which is, I would say, a mecca for wildlife, especially big cats like leopards, lions, and cheetahs. Uganda has a lot of primates, which are mountain gorillas and chimpanzees and other types of monkeys, plus lots of birds in all these places, but especially Uganda is great for birding. Magahinga National Park is another place for mountain gorillas, and dense forest, green. Queen Elizabeth National Park has the Kazinga Channel, which is a big water body, and also a lot of crater lakes with Lake Victoria, so which gives a lot of stunning landscapes. Chibale National Park is for chimpanzees, where you can actually trek chimpanzees on foot in the forest, Chibale Forest. So these are about Kenya and Uganda. India, I have been personally, my favorite is Ranthambore Tiger Reserve, because I love the character of the reserve which it forms, because it has beautiful forts and lakes. It has a good blend of those olden days, ancient days of where there were kings and queens staying. So I love the park. Nagarhole National Park is down south, where you also get to see the tigers, but the forest area is just lovely with elephants and peacocks and and all other animals. Jim Corbett is in north of India. Again, it's another park which has a lot of density and concentration for tigers. Yeah. So these are my favorite places, and which I have frequented a lot in all these last 14 years in here. So when I started with how I started, when I started, I used to take pictures like this. If you can see, this is from the point and shoot, but I just used to click. I just used to enjoy. I just used to take pictures of whatever I see, and just out of interest. Now I go back and realize, oh, these were my images, and one should never forget how we started, because these are the reminders for us to know that, oh, we have come a long way from how we were. They were in different places like Naivasha, Masai Mara, Amboseli. But now I have come and I've taken the growth, learned, and now I'm taking pictures like this, images like this. So this is cheetah hunting down wildebeest in Masai Mara. I would love to know interactions if you, through chat messages, if you are enjoying this, I would appreciate that. So these are how I started moving then. To know, I started understanding the composition. I started using the settings, because reflexes and how fast you have to take the hyena. This is usually hyenas a lot, but they also scavenge a lot. This image has a lot of drama going on, with vulture in the foreground, trying to eat the kill. It was a hippo kill, but this hyena was coming in between and trying to also get a share. But there was one moment where the hyena was totally drenched because the hippo was in the water, and just gave this shake. So that was, usually you see hyenas, but then getting this image for me was special, because I never got hyena shaking the head. This was my image, which actually got me the award for East African Wildlife Photographer way back 6 years back. This was taken in Amboseli National Park. This single lioness was really, really tough that morning. She gave a run for all these hyenas. Actually, in the frame, there are only 4 hyenas, but there were 25 hyenas all together, all gathering up slowly to, actually give a tough battle for this lioness. But she was so ferocious. She really managed the show in a way that the hyenas couldn't do anything. So, moment which I was very happy and glad to, and I'll never forget this. This image is very special to my heart.
Hey, Usha,
So
there's
how
a
did
question. Usha,
yes,
back.
Rajni.
Can you please go back to your cheetah shot? There was a question on what lens were you using for the cheetah hunting?
Yeah, this was 500 mm prime with handheld.
Thank you.
Yeah. So how did the transition happen? How did the transition happen? Basically what I realized is, any form of photography, we need a lot of practice. You need to have hands-on control on your camera, because especially wildlife, it is completely unpredictable. Like, there have been a lot of instances where when I was, you just miss the shot. And if you have missed the shot, it's gone. That is not going to repeat. The cheetah hunting is not going to happen if actually you are not ready with your settings, you are not ready with even focusing. That there are a lot of regrets which I have had in always, even today, even every time. But it's all about being at the right time and at the right place. Major thing was to learn about animal behavior, how important it is to know or anticipate what can happen. And that helps a lot, because now you are not, basically your mind is not restless, that you have to keep putting high speed continuous shooting, that you have to keep taking it. You will be prepared to what you want to take, because now you know. For example, if there is, let's take about a big cat, a lion, early in the morning, there is a routine and there is a pattern in the wild what animals would possibly do. So there is an expectation. So you probably would be having a story already coming up, and you would keep observing. You will go back to the same lion next day. So if you observe the lion, you will know this is what the lion can do. Maybe the lion is getting hungry. So possibly we must be with the lion to see what can happen. Even the body, even the expressions, even like we say that how humans have expressions, yes, the animals do have. And you can possibly see how relaxed the lion is. Maybe it may not be hunting now, it may take time, so you can relax. You don't have to be hurrying up for that. So yes, that helps. Visualizing what image you want, that definitely helps. Yes, right settings. Post processing is equally important to because look, I personally try to compose the image in the camera because I do not spend a lot of time post processing. Now, having been here for most of the times we can understand the lighting here, because how the lighting will be, what kind of settings you can make, so what the camera can produce results, so that we minimize post processing later. So storytelling is what I love to take in the image. I do love portraits, close-ups, but what do you want to convey from the image? What is the story coming up? So like for the giraffe here, all these giraffes were facing on one direction because they were a pride of lions actually walking at a far distance. It was not possible to cover everything in one frame, but the curiosity the giraffes were showing was very good, very interesting to see. And they were all in different heights. You know, though giraffes are the tallest, so they were all in different focal plane, and it really, I felt, was a special way of seeing the lions, you know, because they always keep walking and checking, but all four coming in a sync was a shot that morning I took. Composition techniques definitely helps, because composition can make or break the image. In wildlife, yes, certain places compositions cannot be considered because you possibly would be focusing on the speed, how fast, but by practice you can possibly pan and try to compose also. But yes, fast movement, it could be a challenging one, so cropping may be needed for getting it. Yes, of course, I joined photography safaris and community forums, which really helped in how I did this transition for how I was taking photographs earlier and how it changed altogether. So this was the image which got featured in BBC News because this was part of the new Big Five project. So we were a group of photographers around the world who were supporting this project, and this lion trio image got featured. And this family of gorillas from Magahinga National Park in Uganda also got featured. The scene here is very surreal. It's a family. The silverback gorilla is here. He is the dominant leader. And that particular afternoon, he was just so pensive. He was like a deep thinker. How does he take care of his family? Because there was a just born infant here. And this infant was just 2 weeks old, latching on its mother. The mother was so tired, you know, could see it, could sense that the mother was really tired and needed a break. And the father comes, sits next to the mother, and, you know, just gives guard, just like protection. And there was this male, sub-adult male, who was watching the whole show. So this somehow, it was a lovely moment to capture this family in their own space. So yeah, this got featured in BBC News. So this is my take on what would be needed for wildlife photography, especially in Africa, African wildlife safari. And I personally feel this is what I think is most of us would need and have to when they are here, or any wildlife experience. The first thing is, so I'm going to show you a couple of, as we are progressing, I'm going to show you the images which comes from all these points. So basically, yes, get up early and get out late. Extremely important to catch the twilight before sunrise and after sunset, the dawn and dusk. And you will see the images, what possibly we can get with these. Of course, you go step out in the wild, you go berserk sometimes, just clicking, taking pictures, capturing moments, how much to capture in, so that you come back and then you get to see that, oh my word, possibly I'll just take 5% of the whole pictures, photographs which I have taken. Initially, yes, I used to capture. So if I'm going on a 4 days safari to Masai Mara, I used to come back with 3,000 images. And I used to come back home, and that was a lot of work. So I slowly started shrinking that volume by, say, today I may be taking 1,000 pictures or 500 images, 500 to 1,000 pictures, because more and more you step out in the same place. I'm sure everybody in the forum would agree with me that you actually get to know the place much better. So you try to now understand what exactly you want to take. So yes, you have to get ready to delete a lot of images. Animal behavior, I did discuss. Yes, it's extremely important to know what you are shooting and how the animal behaves. That helps a lot. Respect the animals, give space so that they behave in their own natural sense, and they are wild and free. And all you're doing is you are taking the emotions and expressions or the behavior of them in their own natural habitat. So with that, it's respecting them in their space, because it's like we are in their territory and we are in a small box called the safari vehicle. So yes, you have to understand that. Patience a lot. As wildlife photographers, I think every image which I have made is because of patience. When I used to take images earlier, I used to be restless. A lot. I used to be restless. I used to think that possibly the safari guide is not taking me to the right place. Possibly I have missed that scene because we were not there, or possibly because I didn't know whether when will the lion yawn, when will the lion or walk around, what will he do? Will he play around with the cubs? But patience really helps. There were lots of instances where patience has really paid. I'll go through that. Know your camera and be ready. Now that is, I think, the game changer, because if we know where our settings in the camera, where the buttons are there in the camera, it really helps. It should be like a muscle memory. It should not be seen. This is something which has really helped in capturing wildlife moments, especially fast action or any other type of, so the settings which are there, you must be knowing where's the exposure compensation dial, where is the focus point, how do you shift. Nothing to see in the camera body. It should be like you just keep switching on with your index finger and thumb and keep. So that muscle memory of handling the camera really helps. Shoot for yourself. Yes, I do shoot for myself, because not all images are to be shown to the people, right? You have to first be convinced that you are taking this image and you'll be happy with the image. So that helps, and that is important, because at the end of the day, all your 5,000 images, you are going to see it. So are you ready to see that? That's very important. Shoot the habitat, show the habitat. In fact, most of the times, there are beautiful landscapes, beautiful backgrounds, which comes, and that shows where the animals are living, what kind of conditions they are living. So that is something one should not forget. Not zoom too much. Yes, cropping, as I said, can be minimal, which helps. Bean bags, really help, because we are all most of the time in the safari vans and safari cars in out here in East African wildlife, and even Southern Africa. All these African wildlife are usually done on a safari vehicle. So bean bags really help in stabilizing, but handheld also one should be ready. Tripods, yes. Golden light, as I said, getting up early and getting out late, both will help, so that the golden hour cannot be missed. And golden hour is such that any animal would look beautiful, even a warthog or even a baboon. Golden light creates a magic in it. Don't discount any subjects. That's important. Then black and white images feels very good. So it doesn't mean that you have to focus only on golden hour. When the light is harsh, try to create your own creative stuff, creative images out of, because in wildlife, especially because everything is natural light, you cannot expect that the wildlife will behave and what shots you need only during the golden hour. Because they are unpredictable, you cannot wait. They do not know all that. They just do what they can do for the whole day. So you just follow them. But the lighting is something which we cannot guarantee what you would get. So you need to be creative and get the best out of the wildlife. ISO, yes. This is one subject which a lot of people talk that ISO shouldn't be boosted up so much in wildlife, but I wouldn't agree for that, because I'll show you images where that really helps, and you need to experiment with your ISO. Never follow an animal, because you always have to be ahead of the animal, so that you take a position and wait for the animal to approach you, so that really gives the animal space, and also helps in getting a better shot, better image, better moment. After that, and if you want to go close, you have to look distracted. You can't get the attention of the animal at all. Then everything goes for a toss. What do you want to convey? What do you want? Because you want to show the real expression of the animal. So all these are, again, there are images which are coming up. Just taking you through this, what I have written there. Double back up your images. I have had experience in my past where I have done all these where I hadn't backed up the image, and I've lost those moments, because, as I said, it's heartbreaking when you actually see that action and you have waited for so long, and then you come back and you don't have it because you missed, you didn't back up, or your disk got corrupted. There could be n number of reasons. I cannot ask that leopard to go back and do the same scene. So it is so volatile. So I have been very cautious in backing up the images. Creativity, as I said, can be anything. World is yours. And slow shutter helps. It really does a lot of different type of, mood which it creates. So this is, I said, the early twilight, you can get different colors in Masai Mara, in Kenya, equatorial place. So you can get these different twilight colors, and you wait for the subject, that is an animal or anything. So we wait and try to shoot and get some images like this. This was in the morning. These lions were in the mount, and the sky was burning, like a fire, and with little clouds at the background. So, and these two lions were actually playing. So this is one of the recent shot I got in December in Masai Mara last year. This is an impala. looking towards morning sunrise. Hyena, and there was a hot air balloon, which is a good activity in Masai Mara especially. So this was a giant ball of sun rising early in the morning, and there was a hyena walking. So it gave this whole scene of capturing the sunrise with the balloon. Not every day we get sunrise. That's the thing. You keep going, because many a days it may be cloudy, you may not get. So you keep trying, you keep trying. This is one evening, there was a small water body because of the rain, puddle, I must say. And after sunset, the purple colors started coming and reflecting on the water. This is Amboseli National Park. There was mist at the background, and there were these herds of elephants with cattle egrets trying to be early morning. They were saying good morning, and the sun was rising, yes. So these were kind of shots which you can get on sunrise and sunset. The next thing is, I always say that please do not discount a common subject. When we go to any park or any nature reserve, there are so many subjects which we see, but the common ones we usually do not include. But if you spend time with them, actually there are very interesting moments one can capture. So yeah, this is one such experience where this baboon was playing with this baby and trying to talk to each other. So what I say is, do not discount a common subject. They can give a lot of interesting behaviors. Like this is Jackson's three-horned chameleon, got in Ruwenzori Mountains in Uganda. Very, very common subject out there. It's but extremely colorful, super tiny, but the colors and the patterns are beautiful. Patient space, but how? Now that's a story which I wanted to say. I'm going to take you through a series of 3 or 4 images, and I want to emphasize why patience is so important in wildlife photography on a safari. Now, this particular image, if you see, there are 3 leopards, a male, a female, and a male leopard, a female leopard, and a cub. We saw this scene in the morning at around 7 a.m. It was cloudy. It had rained. As you see, the ground is all wet. And this cub is, she is the mother of this cub. So when we saw this leopard and the mother and the cub together. But what happened is, this father, he's the father, he's a male leopard, but he's a father of this cub, came close to this cub to check, because they are from the same genes. He didn't come to harm the cub. But the mother was so cautious that she moved away from the cub and at a safe distance was watching. So morning, we were so excited to see 3 leopards together. And I shot this actually from a wide angle lens, because I wanted to show the story about all 3 of them in the frame, because this moment I wouldn't get otherwise. So we were thinking, oh, maybe this father, it was confirmed that it's the father, because usually leopards, when they actually meet, they don't like to be intruding in others' space. And with this scene, it was clearly understood that the mother is she takes a safe distance, but not really aggressive. The father is coming to check on the cub. The cub is also pretty peaceful. But so we leave because now they're all hiding in the bush after the scene. And we just wait. We wanted to see what's happening. We didn't know. We moved a little, had our breakfast, and then we kept going. We kept coming back, but there was no sign at all. So we actually didn't move anywhere farther, but we were around the area. In the afternoon, around I must say 2 o'clock, suddenly we see this mother walking with the cub to be away from the dad, because she now realized that this is not the place she has to be, because the male leopard is around this area. And she started walking with the cub. And she was tired. It was, see the sky, it's still cloudy, but it was clear. The sky was almost getting, and it was hot. And there we see a lioness stalking on to the leopard. Honestly speaking, my heart really was racing. None of us wanted the leopard cub to be killed, because that's a new life. That mother has struggled, and I have been following that mother for last 3-4 years. I've seen her giving litter, and you get attached to many animals when you keep moving with them. And there is this lioness. So this again, I thought I should create a story with it instead of just focusing on the leopard and cub, capture it in wide angle. And see, this is a track in which the cars also go. She's following the track. She's going. She didn't know that there's a lioness stalking at the back. It was so quiet, so eerie. This was all because of the weight, because we didn't move anywhere else. And then comes this. The leopard mother actually stops because the cub was getting tired. So the mother, both of them stop on the way, and then she turns and sees that, man, there's a lioness coming. The aggression the mother had was, it's etched in my memory, which will, I think it's a lifetime memory, which I had seen how a leopard can really be so aggressive, especially because she's a mother. She gave an instruction to the cub and just asked the cub to move. We didn't know where the cub was hiding, but the cub just left. Their communication is so strong, we can't even perceive what they were saying. And she gave a fight to this lioness. So this image I had posted in the NHM photography competition last year, and it was selected as a finalist. But this was so close that I had to capture it at 100 mm. And what I had to do is, I was having my wide angle lens with me, and I was capturing this story. Least I knew that this is going to happen. It was a few seconds. I immediately picked my 100, 400 mm lens, and I'm fortunate. I knew that there could be something happening. I immediately boosted the shutter, kept it ready, but there was no time to even think about it. There was absolutely no time to think, and they started fighting. And this leopard mother's expression was what is etched. The lioness was so big compared to the leopard, but she just was so defensive. She had no way that she would attack. It was the leopard's day that day. And then what happened, you see, then the leopard ran towards the bush. I could manage only this with the tail cut, because I couldn't take it in one frame, and it happened so fast. I only have a scene where there is leopard in the frame, but the lioness was now chasing the leopard, and the leopard was trying to distract her from the cub. They both went into the bush, and the story was over. So we didn't know now where the cub was. And there was a lot of drama, and just like watching a movie, what's going to happen next? And then there comes the cub after some time, and then it was a happy ending, which I would say. So this is something because patience. We were with only this leopard for the whole day, not knowing whether this leopard will meet a male, whether the leopard will meet a lioness. We were just spending time with them. So patience in wildlife photography really helps, and wouldn't have got this image if we were moving to a different place. This is also another story of how much waiting game it was to capture these moments. First of all, seeing a melanistic serval cat is extremely rare. Like one in, I haven't seen for all my years in Amboseli National Park. Last year was my first time to sight a melanistic serval cat, because serval cat is a small sized big cat, but it's very highly nocturnal, loves to hide in the bush. So sighting a serval cat itself is not easy. So, but seeing a melanistic serval cat was a big chance. So we did know that, yes, there is something sighted in 400 square kilometers of a park, but where to, how to, didn't know. For this particular moment to be captured, I was tracking this cat for 5 days because I really wanted to know the behavior of the cat. Every day religiously, we'll go to the same place and wait and keep your binoculars and keep searching. But eventually, I learned a lot about this behavior of the cat. We understood that there is a pattern, that if he's sighted, what will he do? So you see, he was sighted because he's black in color with green background. It was fairly easier to spot than a normal serval cat. He was seeing an otter, and then he leaped, and he got a small mouse. It was very far. And how I took this image was, this serval cat was not close. I took it with 500 mm prime with 1.4x teleconverter. So technically, it was a 700 focal length. I had no choice. I had to take it because I've been waiting for this for so long, so many days, and she hasn't come out. Even if she comes out, it's like just a spot. But how do you make a story out of it? So yes, patience really pays. Another classic example is hunting, cheetah hunting. Now, cheetah hunting is a hit or a miss. They do a lot of failed attempts, but a successful attempt for a cheetah really takes time because they are extremely vulnerable with a lot of other predators and a lot of other threats because they're always in the open. So if you want an action of a cheetah, which may happen, it is a waiting game. You have to wait if you have to capture shots like this, where you really these are all Masai Mara images, the cheetah images. Yes, 4 cheetahs hunting down a gnu, wildebeest, was a sight to remember and sight to see. A bit gory, but the way they strategize and they kill is interesting to watch. So in this story, what happened is we waited, of course, for 6-7 hours. We were seeing what these cheetahs will be up to because since they are, they accelerate at a very high speed, they also get tired easily. If it is a failed cheetah attempt, then it's easily 2 to 3 hours they will be resting. They would not move, even though they are desperately hungry because they have to conserve the energy and then think of another kill or another chance of, So there's a lot of permutation and combination which goes into the minds of the cheetah. Cheetah are one of my favorite big cats to shoot because I love the way they act fast. I love capturing the fast action scenes. Especially cheetah is the most challenging one when they are on the run. So how I practice that is by practicing flight shots of small birds. So to get better in your shutter, to get better in how fast you can pan, how fast you can take the shot, is I started practicing first with the big birds in flight and then go to the medium-sized birds. But the pocket birds, especially kingfisher, swallow birds are the most challenging. But if you try to capture the fast, small pocket birds in action, I think cheetah can be done. So if I can do, anybody can do. Yes, but the challenge in a cheetah chase is to focus on the cheetah before it starts running. Now that focus, once you lose it, you possibly may miss many shots and may get blurred. So what happened here is cheetahs were hunting down this wildebeest. Wildebeest was not giving up, was also giving a tough fight. And there comes the hyena. The hyena comes and tries to distract these cheetahs thinking that possibly if the wildebeest is dead, can take the meat, which happens quite a number of times in the wild. But this wildebeest, who was also injured, was not giving up. And the wildebeest started chasing the hyena, and all the cheetahs were also, they all moved out. So at the end of the day, I would say it's a happy ending because wildebeest got to live another day. Encountering difficult animals, that's something which, yeah, it's special when you actually when you actually see and also photograph animals which you don't see normally in the wild. They would be in the wild, but you won't get to see them because they are all extremely shy, or they are nocturnal, or they are always hiding in the bush because they don't need to come out to show humans their faces. So such moments also really are good and can be documented for future. So I have been lucky to see some interesting species in Kenya. Is the African civet. It's very common, it's not endangered, but seeing them in terms of photograph, is also special. Because sometimes you may just see them just crossing the road, but you haven't captured them, you haven't composed it, you have not really seeing it as a photograph. African civet is a beautiful animal to see. Giant forest hog. That's an interesting creature in Aberdare National Park. All these, you see warthogs in other places, but giant forest hog you can only see in dense areas. So this is a male giant forest hog. There's a very unique species called an antelope called Hirola. Now, what is Hirola? Very, very, very few people in the world might have documented this, and they are especially and only seen in Tsavo East National Park. You will have to spend days or even a lot of time to search for these animals because they are not very commonly seen. Hirola is a combination of impala and hartebeest. These are two other antelopes which you see them in out here. So this species is, there are only 300 to 500 numbers in the wild. And so this is one of a very rare species to see. African wild dog, in all my experience, sometimes as photographers, you really are looking for images which you don't see in that particular place. So Masai Mara is a place I have frequented and I keep going. To watch or to see an African wild dog was extremely special because they don't live there. It's not their habitat. So, and if they are there in very remote places in Mara. So when I saw this African wild dog in Masai Mara, was really, really, really interesting and happy moment. Now there's a lovely stock called shoebill stock. There are different stock varieties in Africa, but shoebill stock is also critically endangered bird. You have a high chance of seeing them in Uganda, and they look like some prehistoric creatures, and so yes, they are critically endangered. All these are critically endangered. African wild dog is extremely endangered species as well. Melanistic serval cat, as I mentioned. So yes, we have to shoot with different weather conditions. We cannot expect to be the weather, all the lighting to be the same. So misty day, you can possibly get a mood like this. And so safaris as such, it doesn't mean you get all these images at the same day or same time. There are days when you actually see a nice mist happening, but not a single animal. So when you get to see everything together in wildlife, it really feels good. Cloudy day, what can happen? These 5 cheetahs were actually hunting. So there is no crop in this image. I focused on the impala, a big male impala, and all the 5 cheetahs are in the frame, but they are just, the action is just about to begin. But it was a very cloudy day on that. So I had to just take the advantage of the even light which was coming up. Rainy day is after rains. Never miss any safari. That's what I have believed and I have experienced, is not to miss a single safari, because every safari has its own beauty. Every safari is different. So this was raining, pouring like anything. But I insisted we should go, because possibly we may get any images of such sort, like a lion shaking its mane, to get wet as well. But this was just after rain. During rains, we were waiting because he was getting drenched, and anytime he could have just shaken the mane. So that's what is the scene. After rains, how clean the animals are, and this is taken in Ranthambore Tiger Reserve. They were spotless. There's in the animal. This is what I was mentioning about, don't be afraid to boost up the ISO. ISO plays a big role. You don't need to do it on a normal weather day conditions, but sometimes you have to boost it up, even if it is noisy, because sometimes you have to document any wildlife species on the go. So if you have a good camera which has the capacity to 51,000, if you have the capacity to boost up, we have to boost it up. We have to experiment and see, because many a times what we do, and I have done this personally, is I've been told that, don't boost it up. After 5,000, there will be a lot of noise. So what happens is, mentally, you have already shut yourself that even if I do above 5,000, the image is not going to come good. So don't think about it. Do it and try to break that. So this was a pearl spotted owlet, which in Savo, and there was a little torch in this. There was a little little torchlight was shown near the tree, but at 16,000 ISO. Caracal. Caracal is an extremely rare cat to be seen in the wild, because it is highly nocturnal. And it was my dream to see caracal in here. And I just cannot describe how I felt when I saw this. Can you guess the time of the day this caracal was seen? I saw this at 7:45 p.m. Technically, my eyes were not able to see this caracal. And that is when I took this in R5, the mirrorless, with 100-500 mirrorless lens. But boosting up the ISO was the only choice for me. I had a beanbag in my safari vehicle, so 25 seconds, but this image is underexposed, because that helped to give a little more shutter speed. So caracal was a dream come true, and it was like, I did see it, but will I be able to capture the moment? Leopard, of course, after sunset, at 40,000 ISO, 2.8 aperture, 20,000 ISO, because this shot of this cub at the tree and this leopard mother happened because of my 8 hours of wait for the whole day. The mother had gone for hunting and the cub was in a tree. But when the mother came back, I really thought that the mother will hunt and come back, and then the cub will feed with the mother. There'll be a lot of interaction, but we can't script nature, or we can't script what they are thinking. But the mother comes at 6 p.m. in the evening without any hunt. And now I'm desperate. Oh dear, I have not taken a single image in the whole day. And how do I do it? Now the light is falling. So yes, the cub comes out, the mother, they have a nice moment, but suddenly there are hyenas and the cub goes up. Now it's 7 p.m. The cub goes up and the mother is also up, but she is at a lower part of the tree because she's looking at the hyena, but the light was falling. So I had to take them, boosting up the ISO. At least I got this shot. Show the habitat. Please do not discount that. Show the environment, what the background is, where they live. There's a lot of meaning which comes to it. So this is Serengeti and Kopje, that's what they say, these black rocks. There's a lioness, sleeping lioness, impending rains coming up. So it was a moment to capture. This is Samburu National Reserve. There was this cheetah which was resting, but I thought the tree was more attractive than the cheetah in the image. And also this is how Samburu looks. It's not an open grassland. There are a lot of trees and bushes. So yeah. Wildebeest migration in Masai Mara. It's a classic, maybe a cliched shot, but that's how it is during the migration time. Dry grass. There is a huge, big line. Gunus migrating. This is called migration, and with the hills at the background. This is Nairobi National Park. If I have failed to mention, sorry, Nairobi National Park is one national park which is right in the heart of the city. So for me, it's like 20 minutes drive. It is a wild park. It is fenced because there are no elephants in the park because we are at the city outskirts. But it has huge density of rhinos. So there is a high chance of seeing rhinos in Nairobi National Park, but you get to see them with the city at the background. So this really shows that you are in a city, but yet you are not far from wild. Bivindi, that is Impenetrable National Park in Uganda, exact habitat of how these gorillas actually exist. We have to become a gorilla if we have to go on foot and see them up close personal. But I preferred and I like this image because it shows the dense impenetrable forest they live in and how they move around. Know your camera, anticipate and be ready with the settings is what I mentioned, that how quick you can capture such moments if you are ready with the right settings. Of course, knowing behavior of the animal and anticipating that really helps. Cheetah trying to chase a topi, that's a topi, bigger size for a cheetah, but still attempting. So the grass, it was a tall grass, but still the cheetah was in the frame and really focused on the hunting part. Impalas, they can jump high, but they only do when they are really panicked. So it just happened in a jiffy. I'm glad I had the right settings to capture them in air. This is leopard climbing down the tree, but very acrobatic, I must say, how the leopard was, but matter of 3 seconds, just 3 seconds, the leopard was down from the top of the tree. So helping with being quick helped. Ostriches, 2 ostriches running at the same time. Looks like they're conjoined. This is the serval cat. Normal means serval cat. The moment, I think because we spotted a melanistic, we started saying this serval cat as normal, but this is a serval cat. Up in the air hunting. They are extremely fast. They hunt by jumping in the air, yes, but they take this leap in just a matter of few seconds, and they are small. cheetah up in the air. Challenging shot for really capturing cheetah in motion. As you might have seen, it just takes 7 seconds for it to possibly go close to the prey. That much fast they accelerate. So challenges in wildlife photography are patience, yes, a lot of patience and waiting. Lighting and sighting, this is what I say, because if you have a good light and you also sight, it's a jackpot. But many a times that's not the case. So that's a challenge, yes. Animals are totally unpredictable, like sports photography. That's also, so there are the 5 factors of challenges, 5 challenges with which you really have to keep all together and then get them all as one shot. So it's a lot of things to look at. Good reflexes and the luck, you know. So without that, it's difficult. You have to have the right safari guide. You have to have a right person who is taking you to right places. So I think a very important thing to know, that beating all these challenges are these moments and things which you get in the wild. Hats off to everyone, all of us who are doing this, because when you actually are on the field and encountering these, you really you get that excitement when you actually capture those rare moments. Birds, I love birds. A lot of birds have been captured and documented. African birds are again a world by its own. I'm still learning. It's really difficult. I think it's a lifetime thing to learn about different species of birds. I do have a fair knowledge or a decent knowledge about different birds in Africa, but a lot of small birds are still, there are n number of varieties. There are 700 species of birds just here, and every park has at least 400 species of birds. So the carmine bee-eater, vulture, and a tawny eagle fighting. Sometimes you get all these funny moments in the wild, and that also helps to get interesting, funny captions. It's a flamingo, but the catch light was really, really attractive to take. Lesser flamingo. Fish eagle, that's an African fish eagle. Beautiful bird with yellow beak and white neck, and more like, I think, the bald eagle. And this is a giant kingfisher. Water birds. Even birds give a lot of stories and a lot of moments in the wild. This was one such encounter. So this is a martial eagle, the largest eagle in Africa. Queen, I must say, because they look majestic. They have this is an adult martial eagle, which has black spots. So this martial eagle had hunted down a guinea fowl, and we saw the other eagle coming to snatch the food. So the eagle who had hunted was really covering up and protecting its own food. And so found that, oh, there is a threat. So the eagles tried to lift and carry this helmeted guinea fowl. But unfortunately, what happened is it was so down that the guinea fowl was getting wet. So the eagle was, was heavier. So the eagle couldn't do anything. So had to drop the prey and started dragging the guinea fowl to safety. And that's the shot. In Samburu, we got this, Samburu National Reserve, and started dragging to safety. So that's a story from birds also in the wild. Golden lighting, as I said, is an interesting, it's something which any photographer would love to capture in golden hour. And how amazing it would be if you get to see an African lion in that morning light. One of my favorite handsome lions in Masai Mara, called Maridadi. He was one day patrolling in the morning hours. Cheetah and golden hour. Flamingos. This was also one of the finalists in Natural History Museum NHM competition. Backlighting and silhouette is a magical experience to see. Impalas one evening. African lions, brothers together. Giraffe with the calf just playing around. This was in the morning. Two zebras were heading back home in the evening, and there was this dust, a lot of dust. As the sun was setting, there was a lot of light glowing around the zebra. Perspective in the wild, very interesting perspectives you may get to see. So this is why visualizing an image helps. I always wanted, so I've been following these 5 cheetahs. They're like celebrities in Masai Mara, but I've been following these cheetahs for a long time. But I always had a dream that I should one day capture all of them. You get to see them together, but sometimes, most of the times, there's one dominant cheetah which is out of this crowd, stands out of the crowd. If they are walking, he'll be away. So this was like a dream come true of seeing them all together in one single file. So perspective really, so keep looking for different perspectives, different things in the wild. The same cheetahs, but if you notice, this is not 4, they are 5 cheetahs. There was this cheetah, the 5th one was with the other one. So at first time when you see, you possibly will see 4 heads. So, but yeah, there are 5 cheetahs here. Perspective again, giraffes. You can possibly try to get some creative shots out of them. Any animal, but yeah, perspective, don't miss the perspectives in wildlife. Visualization, as I told you, always a dream to see Mount Kilimanjaro and an elephant. You get to see them, yes. Again, it's a matter of combination of having everything together. The mountain shouldn't be covered with clouds. You must possibly have elephants at that area. But seeing an elephant, single tusker, a male tusker with ears open, now that was my special feel, because you get to see elephants and kili, but seeing elephant walking towards with the ears, African elephants' ears are so beautiful. They are like Africa map, in fact, flapped open, and the Mount Kili at the background, snow-capped, because you don't see the snow every time. Sometimes snow is less. So this was my dream, to see them, see all these combinations together. Yeah, so visualization really helps. Again, you see lions, but then seeing a pattern in it with 2 mothers on both sides and the cubs, their own respective cubs, giving a pose, looking on this side, whereas the mothers are seeing on both sides, was a frame which I was happy to take. Gorillas, female, this is a female gorilla. I have been to gorilla trek many times, more than a dozen times. So every time you see different encounters, but hardly I have seen gorillas swinging on a tree, because they are big animals. They like to be on the ground. You get to see the not cubs, babies, gorilla babies in the wild swinging, but an adult swinging on a tree like this with no distraction, because every time you have a foliage at the back, or in the front, getting a clean shot was definitely, I always had visualized that I would love to take one day this. And I was lucky to get this one once. Capturing emotions and behaviors, different behaviors can be captured. You can make a story out of it. So over my different safaris and numerous frequented places, these are 3 cats with young cubs in the mouth: leopard, lion, and cheetah. So in the wild, I really like to capture mother and baby interactions. And this was one such moment. Eland, this is the largest antelope in Africa. They're called elands. Just given birth. So in Tanzania, and how the mother was so alert and cautious, whereas the baby was just going to nurse and get the first milk. Lions mating, you see them, you definitely, it's a very interesting scene, you know, but hardly you may see them both focused, both facing you, with the lion right straight in the camera. So that was, the expressions speak a lot. One very unhappy scene, I would say, gory scene, which happened after this. As wildlife photographers, you have to see a lot in the wild. It would be an extremely heartwarming moment, or it could be extremely heartbreaking moment as well. So this was one such, where the hyena was really trying and killed the wildebeest, but not in a clean way, how the other cats do. So there are a lot of other gory scenes which also I captured, but I haven't shared here. Because as a wildlife photographer, what do you want to convey? Do you want to show the gory scene, or do you just want to show what is the story behind it? So this is how the hyena was hunting down this gnu. Wildebeest migration has a lot of drama, yes, but how they themselves try to get injured without any hunt is, nobody has an answer. Just wants to cross the river, panic, chaos, everything combines in this story. Lions hunting and hippo, extremely difficult and challenging, but what I was looking at is this expression which the hippo is showing, because expression of this hippo only comes if it is threatened. Otherwise, they are generally very peaceful. Peaceful in the sense they don't open their eyes and they don't open their mouth unless they want to yawn. And they are most of the time in the water. So seeing them in the land and with this could clearly show that it's not happy at all and wants to just run away. And the lions were focused and were kind of thinking that they would, but the hippo was very fast. So they didn't hunt. Very, very tender and also anxious moment. One of my encounters was these 2 cheetah cubs crossing a very, very, crossing a heavy flow of water. That is, it's called Thalik River. But when I was taking the shot, what was running in my mind is, do I really need to take it, or I just watch them crossing safely? Because if you see, the mother is really, she has crossed and she's now carefully watching whether the cubs will make it. And there was one cub who was just struggling to get into the rock, and another cub had taken the leap. So, I mean, it really gives you a lot of questions by watching this frame, by watching this photograph, is what's going to happen next? Did they make it? Or were they confident about it? Was the water very, so there were so many questions which keeps on your mind. So such emotions, such expressions, I personally love to capture and document. So this is from the camera. Now, as I told you that mobile photography is something I also love to take. So couple of images which I'm sharing is taken from iPhone, taken from my phone, because many a times you may be having your phone and you can capture them. There are beautiful, I love clouds as well. So clouds patterns really give a lot of impact. So these are some of my mobile photographs. Rainbow with giraffes with the calf, all slowly walking towards their home. A lion sitting and majestically looking at the heavy. This was another photograph which I took it from phone. Monochrome images, black and white is something which can be taken in any time, but harsh light definitely gives a lot of mood to it. Panic, wildebeest in the dust, they're all panicking and running away. A leopard nicely perched and taking rest during an afternoon with that giant tree with a lot of branches everywhere. Slow shutter. Again, the line shake, but now it's with the slow shutter. Gives that milky effect, gives a nice mood for what they're to the picture. So different types of things you can experiment in the wild as well as photographs. Slow shutter as giraffe is walking. You can approach the subjects with a close-up as your frame composition. You can get these kind of images as well if you want to just show the ivory and the tusk. Paws of lion. So I'm trying to give you some, I'm sharing what possible things in wild you can, though you are seeing the same subject every time, even if you are seeing them. The hand of a gorilla. Storytelling, that's what makes wild a lot more interesting. So never just try to shoot only one image, try to make a story out of it as a series. So the lions were mating here as the elephants approached. They had to move, but instead of the lion didn't even look at the elephants. I was thinking that maybe he would give a nice gnarl or some roar. No, he was very busy mating, so he focused on the female. The female was not happy at all, but still the male followed the female, and the elephant was aggressive now and tried to chase them away. They ran and they settled down, but at the end of the day, what happened is they again started mating, and the elephants were also peacefully grazing at the back. So it was like a win-win thing for both of them. Another story is two lionesses were extremely fighting for a piece of kill. And we didn't know why they were fighting. Usually lionesses from the same pride do not really become so aggressive. So unfolded in a span of 4 hours. We had to wait to know if the lionesses are fighting or aggression. But what was the indication for us, which helped to know the animal behavior, was this crocodile. Crocodile never comes out of the water, or it is at the banks of the water resting. They never come so much in the open and start walking. Even if they walk, it may be few meters from the bank to the water. So when this crocodile was out in the open and walking agitated is when we thought there is something lurking around which is threatening it. And there we saw the lions and right there, and then the elephant started walking. We thought the elephant may possibly threaten the lions, but no, the elephant left. But then after that, the lioness started fighting for the meat. Cheetah chase and hunt. The cheetah left this impala, but then captured and targeted for the other one. So these stories in the wild really, really help and matter a lot. And showing them as a series makes a lot of meaning to it. Mountain gorillas are a separate subject by itself, but I just wanted to show some of those shots taken in Uganda. Both mountain gorillas in Uganda, Rwanda are all the same. So you can see so close. This is few meters, just a meter. I was definitely petrified, but it was a thrilling encounter, thrilling adventure of seeing them so close. Choosing camera and lens, in my experience for wildlife, it's very simple. For camera, yes, you have to see the frames per second. Fast action to capture is essential. Low light capabilities, as I told you, ISO is important because there are many scenes which you see where light is extremely low. Autofocus points really help because in fact, in today's cameras, you also get the eye tracking, which is a beautiful feature which cameras are giving. So autofocus points are important. So these are my take for what you're looking for a camera for wildlife out here. And then lens, how can you choose a lens? Is minimum focusing distance helps to know that lesser the focusing distance, you can be a little closer to the wild. Then focal length, that's a never ending thing, but for an African safari, I think anything 400 mm, or at the East African, I would say is like 400 mm to 500 mm is a good distance for wildlife to see out here. And if you are doing Uganda, for example, you're doing primates or apes tracking, you're actually on foot. Even a 200 mm, any 24 to 200 mm is more than enough. Fast aperture is important aspect, and how heavy the lens is. Oh, that is important, because when I moved from my 100 400 mm lens, when I thought that I should have an additional lens, because two camera bodies definitely help in the wild, so that you have two different focal lengths and you don't have to keep changing the lens and you don't miss the scene. So the prime lens was heavy, and I have never been practicing, or I've never used to it. So I had to really choose whether I will be able to take and manage that, because the moment you feel that the lens and the camera is heavy, you lose interest. Subconsciously, it is sitting in your mind that, oh, should I really take that shot? Maybe I can take a pass. Maybe I'll take it the next time that eagle is flying. We cannot have that in wildlife. Every moment you have to be as excited to capture as you are always. So I always recommend, please choose a lens which is possible to handle from you. Any lens or any camera can create magic, because you are creating that magic, because you are convinced that you are ready to take that shot. And the moment you are you're choosing or you're shooting for yourself, the photograph will come out well. So never think that, that is a lens which I need, but if you're not able to, don't take it. And it also depends on the budget. It depends on the usage of the camera and lens. If you think you're investing so much and you're not using, please don't buy it. Don't experiment with something which you won't be comfortable or convinced with. So yeah, this is what I felt, I have seen in my experience that what camera and lens can help for wildlife. After all this, what do? You have to organize, you have to see your images, right? And editing is another vast subject. So do a lot of post-processing, as I told you. I use Adobe Lightroom for all the images. This is a scene of a whole family of impalas. So Impala families are, it's a harem, basically. A male Impala can handle around 70 to 80 females. So seeing them all together in one frame, it was a cloudy day. So what I did is I boosted up the vibrance a bit, maybe a little bit of straightening. So it was not so much of post-processing, because sometimes the images, especially in the natural world, if we show them in a real sense, that's how you're going to see them, you know. So editing is definitely important. So these are my safari kit. Usually what's in my bag. I am currently having a Mark II, 1DX Mark II in Canon, and 5D Mark IV. These are the lenses which I always carry for an African safari. 100-400 mm is a very, very handy lens. And many a times 500 mm prime may not do justice, because a lot of encounters, the animals would have come closer to you. So you can't use 500 mm in many situations. So these are my go-to lenses, 100, 400 and 500 mm for Kenyan safari, Tanzanian safari, even any of the Southern African, where you are sitting in a safari vehicle and going around. If I'm going for these treks, 70-200 and 24-105 is what I'll have in my kit. You can have the 24-70 mm, yes, 2.8. That's an extremely good lens as well. So this is in my kit and my bag most of the times. Teleconverter, yes, because I don't use it in many situations, but I do keep it, because like as I mentioned, the melanistic serval cat, that day I thanked myself that I had the teleconverter with me, because of that I could take those images and show you. Binoculars, never come without binoculars, because they are like your eyes for everything. Don't think that you have the lens, long lens, so you have the binoculars. No, binocular, most of the time when you're waiting, you're actually observing the species through binoculars to learn and understand what they are doing. If you do it with your camera, you're losing your battery life. Bean bags and tripods are essential, extremely essential. More bean bags if you're on a safari vehicle like this. But tripod if you are taking anything and you have stepped out from the car. Batteries, memory cards, camera chargers, cables, hard disk, laptop, first aid kit and iPhone. Yeah, these are my what's in my bag. And any of these, if we miss, possibly we have to work around without that. So yeah, I'm almost completed my presentation. I don't know if I'm really taking a lot of time. So as Rajni was mentioning, in all my journey of taking photographic safaris and also planning safaris for families and different kind of people out here in Kenya and Uganda, I started a small venture in 2020 called Marasiligi Camp, which is in the heart of Maasai land, to empower the Maasai tribe community there. Because of my frequent encounters and frequent staying in Mara, seeing Mara, I have realized that the community is extremely important to safeguard and protect their own wildlife. There is no Mara without a Maasai. So this gave an opportunity of how to give back for what I have been doing, and how grateful I have been to have experienced this in my life, to be up close and personal with nature. We started with my Maasai guide. We started this venture, and we are helping the community by even helping the kids for education. So more and more I'm seeing, I'm also understanding how the community is. I used to go as a traveler, as a photographer, but now they are the main contributors. So you're most welcome to stay in our little tented safari camp and also help to progress the community around. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity, and I hope you have enjoyed this presentation. You have gained something out of it, and I welcome all of you to come and experience Kenya and Uganda and Africa as such. I bet anyone comes here and goes back will leave your heart here and go. Thank you so much. Rajni?
Hey, Usha, thank you so much. That was an extremely impressive portfolio, and thank you for sharing your journey and experiences. There's
Can I stop sharing?
Yeah, sure. There's quite a few comments in the chat thanking you and complimenting you on your various shots. I'm not going to read them out. I hope you can take a few minutes to read them yourself. I'm going to repeat only the questions first. So there was a question very early on about, I think you might have addressed most of this by now, but there's the question about autofocus. Are you shooting in autofocus? Are you able to quickly manually focus in these action pictures, especially the action sequences?
Yes, I do autofocus. Manual focus I do take only during low light, but autofocus helps. There are different zones in which you can actually play around. I use for small, like birds, for example, I do spot AF. But if I have to capture a scene of a cat or a big, then I take the large. Okay, this is Canon. I'm sorry, Nikon will have similar ones, but I'll take the large zone AF. Yeah, so I do play around with autofocus points. Yeah.
Okay. I think you've already addressed these questions. And I wanted to remind everyone that we'll be doing another session just on Uganda, but there were a few questions on your safari and Uganda especially. One question was, what guidance do you have in choosing a good photo safari company? I would say start with Usha, but I'll turn it over.
Yes, thank you so much. Yes, I would love to have you all for photo safari because I think when I go to a safari, I behave like a child. I'm so excited. I'm so enthusiastic about showing and about talking about it. And having been to these places a lot of times, so there is a lot of teamwork which I do with our guides, photography guides. So then, I mean, who takes you around? They are also, if it is Masai Mara, Masai guides, but they are trained for photography. And so we do a lot of teamwork. Because we know the movements of the big cats, movements of what's happening around. Most of the cats also have their names, so we follow them. And so you're most welcome to do that, even Uganda that way.
Right. And I know we're going to do a session on Uganda, but there was a question about how difficult is it to reach the gorillas? How far is the hike from Glen?
So the hike as such is not a steep hike, but there is a lot of walking which has to be done. There are porters, if you can actually hire them. They are from the local community. So basically you are also helping them out by hiring them. So I usually take a porter because I have 2 bodies and 2 lenses, and they give you you can take a hiking stick if you want. So anything in all these gorilla trekking experiences, I've seen gorillas in a 1-hour walk, and also I've seen gorillas after 6 hours of walking. But there are breaks. The ranger or the head guide who actually takes you into the forest gives you enough breaks, water breaks, So it's an enjoyable experience. So anyone who is reasonably fit can walk, can do it. The only challenge which may come is when the rangers get to know that we are very close to the gorillas, we have to leave everything and just carry the cameras, and we are approaching them. At that moment, you may have, that's why it's called impenetrable, is you won't have any track. So you will possibly will have to walk in the dense bushes. It could be that it may be a little steep down and maybe up, but it's really not something which cannot be done. And porters will be there to help and hold your hand and, to balance. So yeah, it's possible, I think.
So in between, you were talking about, not choosing to spend only on what, what you will use and what you're comfortable with. And around that time, I think there was a question around, did you actually say that you can use a crop sensor camera? So I didn't hear you say that, but is it okay to use a crop sensor?
Yeah. That's how, see, 60D was a crop sensor camera when I started. Crop sensor camera gives, and of course, compared to full frame and crop sensor, you can technically go a little more closer if you have even a shorter range lens. Yes, but then of course, if you compare cropped and full frame, there are some limitations which a crop sensor has. In terms of noise at different lighting conditions, but crop sensor is good. I don't see any reason it cannot be used.
Okay. Like I said, there were a lot of compliments and people thanking you for your presentation. I'm hoping
Thank you so much
to read it. Gary, can you open up everybody, unmute them so that if they have questions, they can ask directly?
I can't unmute people. They'll have to unmute themselves if there's other questions.
Okay. So now it's
can't.
open if anybody wants to ask Usha a question directly.
I found I'll start off. I found the comments about shooting with very high ISO very, very interesting. I'll have to give it much more consideration.
This is why I insisted on my personal experience. I was having that in my mind that I shouldn't go after one extent, but once you actually do it, you will really appreciate it.
I'll have to, like I say, go out in the backyard and see what I can rustle up at night.
Yeah, I know
Usha
and I argued quite a bit when I was in Kenya, because as a landscape photographer predominantly, I hated opening up my ISO. And then she was like, let me show you photographs where without opening up your ISO, you're not going to get the photo. So go for it. Don't hesitate. And I think that's really good advice when it comes to wildlife photography.
I think the other thing was start practicing tracking very large birds and then move down to smaller birds so that when one has to photograph something that's moving very fast, be it a cheetah or I guess a car moving down the freeway, you've got the experience and know what to do. So that was an excellent learning exercise. So yeah, that was a very interesting insight that who would
I'm still mastering. I'm still trying to master, because my aim is one day I want to capture a malachite kingfisher. It's just this tiny, a malachite kingfisher diving deep down and then picking. So if I'm able to take that, I think I would be decently very good in moving.
I think I'm going to start with birds that are roosting. That's how bad it is. So
I have a question. When you talk about high ISO, how high are you talking about?
As I had shown, I have gone up to 50,000.
50,000.
51,000, what the camera has.
Yes. And
the images which I showed was 20,000 to 40,000.
Okay.
So, wow. So it's definitely something you all must have this in mind. Do not be afraid to boost the ISO. And that came out of experience of long hours of waiting, getting not learned that this is not happening. I have to take one image in the 9 hours of waiting. So that opened up my eyes.
Interesting.
Incredible photographs. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. This has been absolutely a pleasure to showcase what I have done in my second life, I must say, in the last 14 years after moving to Africa and settling down here. I have a 12-year-old son. He's also pretty much interested to know about nature, so we talk a lot. And when I come with lots of images, my husband and my son are the critics, because now the standards are high about my photography. So they have seen me growing, and what I did is I completely got out of my comfort zone. Being from a finance background, this was not my comfort zone at all, coming to Africa and exploring this place for a safari. Wildlife photography was not my comfort zone at that time. Traveling, now set up a camp is definitely not, I've come out of my comfort zone. I'm just going along with the flow and trying to make things better and want to give back also. So conservation is one part which I am very passionate and deeply connected with how to do it, and how as wildlife photographers we can showcase. And these kind of images probably they help in conservation, they help in instilling that interest about wildlife, and these stories which also goes far to know about them. And so people start appreciating animals are also equal to humans in the wild. I mean, out here in the world.
Absolutely.
I think you're
Thank
being
you
very-
again so much, Usha. I know this was really early for you and it's a bit late for people here. So we somehow managed this, and I'll work with Gary to schedule the next session with you.
Well, looking forward
Sure.
to it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Rajni. Thank you, Gary, for putting us all together with
Thank
all
you.
our. I'm in Kenya, and I was really fearing about the internet, the Wi-Fi, but I think everything went smoothly.
Oh, yeah, you'd think it was a professional job. It was.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Have a
nice-
lovely
All
night.
right.
Yep,
Have a great
bye-bye.
day, Usha. Take care.
Thanks. See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Soon, hopefully.
Stay safe. Sorry. Yes.
I
See you
said
soon.
see you in
Yes.
person, hopefully soon.
Yes. Come.